Hey y'all, Ramdino here, coming at you again for another Appalachian Trail Thru Hiker update. If you've come to this channel to find out what's going on with the thru hikers, who's out there, where they're at, who's off the trail, how things are going, and other news about the Appalachian Trail, then you've come to the right place. Also, I hope you're here to help me support the thru hikers and help me build the hiker community. And the best way that you can do that is go to this subscribe button down there and hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to get my notifications of when I'll be updating on a weekly basis with thru hiker updates, as well as some of my own updates about my own adventures on the trail. And then you can share this channel also. Share it with other folks you might be might be interested in being a part of the hiker community, and particularly watching thru hikers. And then go to the thru hikers down there. You can go to the description section and you'll see there a Google spreadsheet, a link to that. Go to that spreadsheet and you'll find all the thru hikers, over 250 that we're tracking, along with their social media accounts. Please follow them and give them comments or link to them, comment on them, keep them spurred on all the way on their trip to Springer, all the way to their trip to Katahdin, all the way to Springer, all the way in between, which way they are going. And speaking of going to Springer, we are shy on having a lot of no-bows and flip-floppers. So we got so-bows and flip-floppers. So we got a lot of no-bows, but we don't have too many so-bows and flip-floppers. And once those no-bows summit, then we are going to be looking for so-bows and flip-floppers. So we'll continue to add everybody on there, but particularly if you're a so-bow or flip-flopper, we want to add you to that list. And it's very important. You really need those social media links, because that's how people support you. So we've had a couple folks that just wanted to get their name added on the list, and I've done so. But there's no way people can go and keep them pumped up, because people can't comment if you don't have some means to doing so. So please include, when you go to the description section, you'll find all the information I need, and you can either leave that in the description section, or rather the comment section of this video, or you can send that to me through my Facebook IM or my IG IM, or just send it to me through my email. All those links are down in the description section. Let's go ahead and get on with the update. So right now we still got some 2019 hikers that are out there. One of the ones is no longer out there, and that's Champ, and he finished at the Knock. So we want to congratulate him on finishing his hike. I think he was out there over 8 months, so that's a long time to be on the trail so-bow. And then Baby Legs and 2020, they should have a day or so left, and they'll be summited at Springer. So I don't have a update this week from them, haven't been able to get in touch with them, but if you're watching out there, Baby Legs or 2020, please let us know where you are, and particularly send us your summit picture. And then Quicksand, he is post-holing his way through the Smokies and on the way to Hot Springs. So it won't be too much longer, and he'll be finishing his so-bow, no-bow trip. Whether that all the 2019 and 2020 folks are experiencing, this has been a rough year for weather, no doubt. And a year that if you weren't carrying your microspikes with you, you probably wished you were now. So this coming week's not going to be any exception. Monday it's going to start raining, and it's going to rain all the way into Thursday. Looking like the weekend's going to be good, which is going to be great for Atco. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the week is going to be wet. First part of the week, the temperatures don't look like they're going to get below freezing at night, but they are going to get down there close. Going to be chilly, maybe even at altitude. When you get up in the Smokies and up in the North Carolina, in Tennessee, there'll be some areas that they do get down to freezing during the first of the week. But at the end of the week, when we have less clouds around Thursday, then they are going to get back to freezing at night. So keep that in mind when you're leaving all your stuff out and you don't have it tucked up underneath your sleeping bag or in your bag to keep everything warm, that it's going to be frozen in the morning. So just going to that rough weather pattern is just going to continue for us for the foreseeable future, and it's that time of year. So if you start your thru hike this time of year, then you have to come mentally prepared to understand that winters can be very wet. Of course, they can be pretty cold. The 2020 class current registrations, last week we had 2,042. This week we have 2,126 no-bows out there. So the trail did reach its limit on the 29th and the 1st, which is 50 hikers. Last year it went well above that. I don't know if that is accurate, if they're keeping accurate tallies of that down at the ATC. One of the things I noticed is that they show 50 hikers here, but the bar graph is not even. So something's a little weird going on there. But in any case, they do show it limited out on the 29th and the 1st. And then the larger bubble, of course, starts on March 1st. That's kind of the apex, 29th, 1st. And for the next couple weeks, there's going to be a lot of people starting the trail. A lot of people already started, but even more so coming up. And here's kind of graphic on the heat map of where everybody is. And that kind of shows you that the registrations and the heat map kind of coincide. And they're a good test to determine if they're accurate. The heat map shows a lot of people down at Springer, down in the very, very southern portion of Georgia on the trail. And you can see a little bit of folks spreading out there in the light yellow that is north of them. So that will continue to move on up the trail. We'll continue to show you that graphic and where they are on the trail in the coming months. So Sobo, we had 103 last week, and this week we have 109. Flip-floppers, we had 90 last week, and this week we've got 93. So our total from last week was 2,235, and this week our total is 2,328. Now last year this time we had about 2,017 folks registered, so obviously with this us having 2,328 at the same time as we had this time last year, we have greatly increased the folks we've got out there, somewhere around 321 more folks this year, and that represents about a 16% increase over last year. Don't know exactly what bag tag we're up to, but I saw New Hampshire hiker, and I think she had a bag tag number of 545. She's the last one I'm tracking that started. Of course, we've had 50 that are starting today, and a whole bunch that are starting tomorrow. So we're going to be well over 600 by tomorrow, folks that are starting. If you're a thru hiker and you're starting when you get down there, I would love to have a shot of the logbook and also of your tag with the tag number on it. I want a shot of the logbook because the logbook gives me the pack weight of folks that are checking in. So I think it's pretty interesting to see the pack weights. A lot of times I've seen a lot of 50-pound packs, which is a huge amount of weight. And then one of the shots that somebody sent me, there was a 16-pound pack. So, if you figure you're bringing 10 pounds for food and water, that's a 6-pound base weight. That's crazy. So I thought that was very, very interesting to see that. But this past week looked like the average we had was around 33.875 pounds. Now, one of the questions that kind of made me wonder was, you got a guy that's got 16 pounds and a guy that's got a 50-pound pack. What is in that 50-pound pack that the guy with a 16-pound pack doesn't have? I'd love to see a pack explosion of both those side by side to see what those are. So all that stuff I thought was very, very interesting. Hikers that we have off the trail from this past week, Florida girl got off due to a family member having health problems, so our prayers go out to her. Moose Liver and Mustang Sally, they got off. Mustang Sally decided she would just rather become a section hiker, and Moose Liver, because Mustang Sally was her partner, she just didn't feel like she wanted to go on, and so she's going to go back home and regroup, hopefully find somebody else to hike with and get back out there. Trail is a social trail, so she very well may find somebody out there on the trail as she hiking. Hiker Al, he got off for health issues. MacGyver is off due to an injury. Mitten is off at Cooper Mountain right before Sassafras due to a problem with a pre-trail injury, and they claim to come back, that they're going to be coming back on after they've kind of dealt with that and rehabbed that. And Saul and Ty are off due to a fall injury from the ice and snow conditions after crossing into North Carolina. So folks, you might want to consider microspikes. I know everybody says, I don't need them, I don't want to wait. But I've heard from Nutty Hiker that a lot of folks that sent them home when they first got on the trail are now asking for them back. So, and so I think that's something that you might want to consider. And then John Lavigny Jr., he made it to Neil's Gap and decided that it was just going to be too much time away from his family, and he didn't want to make that sacrifice. So I don't blame him one bit. It's like I've always said, that whatever small percent or even a large percent chance that you could do your thru hike again later on in life, the time that you miss with your children as they grow up, you have a 0% chance of getting that back. So if you have young kids out there, I would highly encourage you to hang out with them as long as they'll hang out with you, and just enjoy that time, because as a father, I can tell you that time will be over with sooner rather than later. But if you do decide to get off the trail, please let us know. Let us know through your social media account, or let me know, and I'll let all the other folks know, because we want to know a lot. You know, everybody out there in the hiker community is concerned. They want to keep you pumped up, and if you're not there, folks get worried that if you're not posting, folks get worried that something may have happened to you, because folks in the hiker community generally care about the thru hikers. So just let us know in some way, shape, or form. The 2020 class, folks, that I am tracking, just shown he is doing something that I didn't even think was possible. He is doing the Triple Crown in the same calendar year. So he's doing the ATC, the PCT, and the CDT, and starting with the ATC, or the AT rather. And I'm not sure which trail he's going to next, but he's going to do all three of those long distance trails in the same year. So that's going to be or the same calendar year. That's going to be an incredible feat. Looking forward to following him throughout that trip. I mean, I've heard of nobos and subos and flip-floppers and yo-yoers, but I have never heard of what he's doing, and I guess I'll call that a go-go, because he is going to be going all the time. And, you wonder what motivates somebody to do that. And, well, we don't have to speculate. Just Sean, he can tell us that himself. So Just Sean, go ahead and tell us why you're motivated to do that.
So I was asked the other day what my motivation was for attempting the calendar year Triple Crown. And I know I sort of talked about it in my announcement way back. Maybe that was in my intro video. Anyways, basically, I had aspirations to hike all three long trails, AT, PCT, CDT, over the next 3 years. But one day I was drinking a really strong cup of coffee. I know exactly where I was at. And I'd known about the calendar year Triple Crown, but I always thought, that's just crazy. Well, then I was thinking, what's it going to look like in between each trail, and how disruptive that was going to be to my regular life, my job, career, things like that. And I had everything lined up. My finances were lined up for each three trails. I was just that time in between. So I thought to myself, well, screw it. Why don't I just try it all in 1 year? And I also asked myself, what happens if I fail? So I hike part of the AT, part of the PCT, all the AT, part of the PCT, and either way, what's failure? I still get to hike a bunch of miles. This still is an awesome adventure. And I was also kind of driven by this quote I had seen that said, ask yourself if your dreams are crazy enough. And I figured out my dreams weren't crazy enough. I have to try the calendar year Triple Crown. So here I am, going for it. And I'm loving it. So that's my motivation in a nutshell right there.
Appreciate that, Just Sean. And we look forward to your trip and following you and cheering you on as you take that trip. John Lavigny Jr., he is in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And after falling on ice and injuring his shoulder and hip and knee and his elbow, that was probably some of the reason they decided to go as well. But I think the main reason was he was just missing his family. Muan says she's near Neil Gap and she should be heading Nobo shortly. Vintage Hikers, they started this week and they are near Neil's Gap. Paul McDonald, he's made it to the Knock. Happy, he's around Irwin. Joe Hikes, he made it to the Amicalola Falls State Park, and he has gotten on the trail. He was bag tagging number 503, and he is starting today being Sunday. Wild, he's made it past 100 miles, and he's into Franklin, as is Scott Harmick, has also made it past 100 miles into Franklin. Yoda made it to Neal's Gap on his yo-yo hike and continuing north. Spotter made it to Franklin and says he is loving it. Smiley and Blister, they are in Virginia and past Grayson Highlands, and they have been hiking in waist-deep snow. So it's pretty amazing the conditions they've been in. Smiley, show us what you've been having to go through.
Alright, this is definitely the worst winter weather I've ever been in. So far, about 1.5 feet, 2 foot of snow in some areas. The wind's blowing probably 50 miles an hour. Absolutely terrible. But we're staying in a hotel tonight, so it don't matter.
Appreciate that, Smiley. Great video, great indication of how bad it could be, and you just have to get out there, and Charlie Mike is all you can do. Grandpa Joe, he made it to the trail, and he should be coming into Neal's Gap any day. Screwball, Pickleball, and Camper, they have made it to the Knock. And Nutty Hiker, she is in Georgia recouping from an injury, and but she is going to have Georgia out of her mind soon enough, within the next day or so, and back on the trail and crossing into North Carolina. So if you're a thru hiker, I'd greatly appreciate it, you pushing me your notifications through either my Facebook or Instagram, or emailing those to me, or or even putting them down in the comment section of the videos here in some way, shape, or form. Typically, I'm putting this together on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So if you could just let me know then, that would be great. That works out great for me to be able to put this together and let everybody know where you're at. A couple news from the trail. Tribute has put together a Facebook page for the tag, and as you may know by now, what Tribute did is really awesome. He got together with the family of Noon, and they have agreed to allow him to take that Noon's tag and make arrangements to have it go all the way from Amicalola Falls State Park up the approach trail, because that's where Noon was doing, and that's where he passed away, was nearby the approach trail as he was doing that. And it's going to go all the way up the approach trail and then all the way to the Katahdin. So Tribute, he's going to be taking it up the approach trail. He's going to be getting there with the Blazing Bakers, Sarah and Jonathan Baker, and they are going to be taking it at Katahdin. If for some reason they have to get off trail, they are going to pass along to somebody else. But I'll leave a link to that Facebook page down in the description section. I would encourage you to go there and leave comments for the Bakers as they take this trip, as well just for comments in general to just be a part of the hiker community. But there also is a link there to the obituary for Noon. And I would definitely encourage you to go there, and as a part of the hiker community, to go to that obituary. There's a link in the obituary where you can leave a comment to the family. Please do that and let them know that how much the hiker community means to each other, and how much Noon, because he was a part of the hiker community, how much he means to us and his passing. I think that'd just be a great tribute that you could leave there for Noon. Of course, the bridge is still out at Harpers Ferry and going to be out for the foreseeable future. It is probably not going to be put up this year. The trestle that the footbridge is attached to is owned by the CSX, but the footbridge is owned by the National Park Service. So we got a private and a government entity working together. Those two are like oil and water, don't normally work real well together. CSX says they are paying for that. It's also my understanding, after talking to John up at River and Trail Outfitters up there, that they, CSX, along with the National Park Service and the ATC and the Canal Township Partnership, the Canal Towns Partnership, are going to be making arrangements and paying for shuttles. But when that happens, if it happens before the major bubble gets through there, is anybody's guess. We've already got flip-floppers that have started and that's going to be impacting them shortly. But nobody knows for sure, and there's no information coming out about when those shuttles will start. if there will be a charge or just really anything on it. I did find a few folks out there, the few ways you can get around it. Chris Brunton indicates he will shuttle people for $10 around it. And John from the River and Trail Outfitters, they will take folks at $25 a van load. So if you got one person in the van, it's $25, or 5 people in the van, it's still $25. And I will leave those numbers here for both those folks, as well as in the description section. And then Fun Smasher only said he saw on the White Blaze forum where a poster recommended taking the MARC commuter train in the morning because they head south from Harpers Ferry to Brunswick, and then hiking the 3.2 miles back on the C&O Canal to join up with it, so you don't miss out on any of the trail. And then if you're Sobo at night, you can catch the train coming back, because during the day for commuters going to DC, the trains run south, and then in the evenings for commuters coming back from DC, the trains run north there. So that would be a way to get around it. Garage Grade Race Car is a viewer, and he was just up there, and he indicated that if it's daytime and you aren't looking to spend a lot of time in Harpers Ferry, that he would walk it, that he had a 6-year-old with him, and they walked it during facing traffic. Now, that's coming from Garage Grace Race Car. I would in no way recommend that. But that is, he said that it certainly is possible. And then another viewer, Caleb Williams, indicated that if you stay at the Quality Inn over in Maryland, and they're near the Ed Garvey shelter, they will pick you up at Waverly Park and Ride, and that's just 3 miles from the Ed Garvey shelter. So if you're staying with them, they will give you a ride from the bridge out over there to the other side, and then you can backtrack back up to the bridge, the 3.2 miles, and then of course continue your trip on from there. So right now, those are all the viable options I have for you as more come online. And if you are a trail angel out there and you know of some folks, or just in that area know of a different way for folks to get around, or if you're an outfitter and can help folks out with that, then please let me know. I'll be sure and update everybody here. I learned this week one of the neat things that GutHook has come up with is a social side or social media side to their app. So you can actually go and subscribe and follow other hikers that are on GutHooks, or they can follow you. And when you give a check-in, you'll get a notice of where that check-in is, and you'll see where they are on the trail. So I thought that was pretty cool. I'll leave a link down in the description for you to go do that. What's really fascinating about it is that folks at home can also see your check-ins. So what that means is that they don't have to necessarily subscribe to a spot GPS in order to do that. Now, this is kind of making the spot GPS irrelevant, except for the fact that this does rely on cell phones, whereas the spot relies on the GPS satellite, so it's more accurate, and it is also more, can count on it more. And of course, you have the bailout button, or the call for help button, that you don't necessarily have on GutHooks. But I thought that was pretty neat. I would invite everybody to go and find me this thru hiking, and I am listed on GutHooks as Ramdino, and you can go, that's my profile name. You can go and find me there, and then send me an invite, and I'll do the same to you. And that way we can follow each other when I get out there on the trail, but also I can follow you when you're doing your update. So I just think that's something that's pretty neat. Glad to see GutHooks coming out with that. This week we've got several physical therapy schools that are going to be at Neal's Gap Friday and Saturday. They'll be doing back rubs and helping people with different injuries that they may have. So these physical therapy students and physical therapy doctors that are there to help you, and greatly appreciate those folks for doing that. And then finally, we got ATCO coming up this coming weekend. That's the Appalachian Trail Kickoff at Amicalola Falls State Park. I'll leave a card up here of a video that I did last year about ATCO. Looking forward to it. The director of it, I believe, passed away, and so there's a new director. Not sure who that is. Hopefully they will step up to the bat, and it'll be even better than it was last year. But in any case, the big thing that I'm looking for is not so much the vendors and the speakers. What I'm looking for is just getting together with the hiker community. So if there even wasn't any speakers or any vendors, I would still go just to hang out with a hiker community that I love so much. So looking forward to that. I'll be there. Please come up and say hey to me and chat with me for a while. Love to talk to people and just be a part of the hiker community. All the links for the thru hikers that we are tracking are in the description section in that Google spreadsheet. You can go and find that there. We have lost quite a bit of people this past week, as I mentioned, and I expect there to be more. The weather out there has taken its toll on people both physically and on their morale. So this time of year, if you started and you didn't expect there to be bad weather, to be cold and wet all the time and frozen, you probably were on the wrong trail. Might have been on the Florida, should have been on the Florida trail. But this is the way the ATC is, the AT is, and hopefully folks will get through that. Warmer weather's coming. And excited to see people's videos out there and just to stay up with y'all. And now's the time when the hiker community can rally around them and go and give them some attaboys and just let them know they're behind them 100% as they charge through this bad weather. Don't forget about a Trail Angel section. We've added a Trail Angel or two down there. Currently, the biggest known Trail Angel, fresh ground, is at Fontana, and he'll be moving north on around, somewhere up around, probably at one of the gaps at the Smokies. There is a couple places that he can be there. Of course, Newfound Gap, but there's also one right before Newfound Gap where he can go to that's a little more private, less folks coming in there than tourists than at Newfound Gap. So he'll be at Fontana for the next, there's Fontana Hilton for the next couple days, and then he'll be moving on up there. Lots of other Trail Angels that we've added down there over the past couple weeks, so appreciate each and every one of you. If you're a Trail Angel, you want to be added to that list, then please let us know where you're going to be, the areas that you cover. Particularly looking for Trail Angels that will give shuttles for free or for low-cost options for people to get into town and just to get out of the weather whenever they need to. So appreciate everybody that's added their name to it and looking forward to more. Folks, that's it out there. I hope y'all are having a great week on the trail. Hunker down. This week is going to be really wet, and it's just going to be one of those weeks. But have no fear, the weekend's coming and it'll be blue skies like it is today. And appreciate y'all watching. As always, appreciate you, and we'll see you out there.